Everything in this universe is made up of materials, which scientists have named matter. Indian yogis classified matter in the form of five basic elements called the Panchatattvas, which are air, earth, fire, sky, and water. Let us learn about characteristics and states of matter. Examples of matter are air, food, stones, clouds, stars, plants, animals, etc. Note, anything made up of matter has mass and volume and hence occupies space. Matter is made up of particles or molecules. Note that there is space between molecules in the matter. The molecules are continuously moving, therefore they have kinetic energy. If we take a powerful microscope and inspect molecules in air, it would look like this. See how much kinetic energy the molecules have and how they are bouncing around, colliding with each other, colliding with the walls of container, etc. If we inspect the molecules in water under the powerful microscope, they would look like this. Notice that the kinetic energy is lesser compared to that of air, and movement of particles is along the flow direction of the water, and so on. When we look at molecules in a rock, which is a solid, we see that the molecules have very little kinetic energy and molecules are held closely and tightly together. Due to this, solid is hard and retains its shape. If we consider another experiment where we dissolve salt in water, the particles of salt get into spaces between the particles of water. The intermixing of particles of two different types of matter on their own is called diffusion. Let us consider another experiment. If we throw a pebble into water surface, waves are created, but the particles come back together and the surface is formed again. This shows that the particles of matter attract each other. Now let us look at states of matter. There are three states of matter. They are solid, liquid, and gas. Solid have definite shape and volume. When external force is applied, they retain their shape. Examples of solid are rock, rubber band, sugar crystal, and sponge also is a solid but with minute air-filled holes. Liquids on the other hand do not have shape. Example, water, milk, etc. They flow and they take shape of the container they are put in. Molecules of liquid have more space between each other and more kinetic energy compared to solids. Gas particles have lot of kinetic energy and their motion is at most random. Density is defined as particles per unit volume. For solids, density is very high. For liquids, density is lesser than solid. For gas, density is much lesser than liquid or solid. Let us consider an experiment. Let us heat ice in a bowl. We observe that it turns into water, and on further heating it turns into vapor. Why does this happen? When we supply heat energy to solid, the kinetic energy of molecules increases to a point that they overcome attraction forces between themselves and start moving freely to become liquid and to further become gas. The temperature at which solid becomes liquid is called the melting point. The temperature at which liquid becomes gas is called the boiling point. For ice, melting point is 0 degrees centigrade. For water, the boiling point is 100 degrees centigrade. Note, some solids will directly become gas when heated. For example, camphor and solid carbon dioxide or solid CO2, also known as the dry ice. To summarize the process, we can look at this matter state diagram. You heat a solid, fusion happens and it becomes liquid. Liquid, when heated, vaporization happens and it becomes gas. When this process is reversed, gas when cooled, condensation happens and it becomes liquid. Liquid when cooled, solidification happens and it becomes solid. Some solids, when heated, sublimation happens and they become gas directly. Reversely, the gas of such solids, when cooled, deposition happens and they become solid. Note, we have two scales of temperature. One is the centigrade scale and one is the Kelvin scale. To convert from centigrade to Kelvin, we need to add 273. So 0 degree centigrade is actually 273 degree Kelvin. To do the reverse, convert from Kelvin to centigrade, we need to subtract 273. So 0 degree Kelvin is actually minus 273 degree centigrade. Note that when any substance is heated, when it is undergoing state change, its temperature remains almost same because the supplied heat is getting converted to molecules' kinetic energy, which is called as the latent heat. Sometimes liquid on the surface, some molecules have enough kinetic energy to become vapor and escape. This process is called as evaporation. these molecules get mixed with air molecules. The amount of water molecules mixed in air is called humidity. If humidity is high, which means that there are already a lot of water molecules mixed with air molecules, we cannot have more evaporation. Evaporation will be slow because there is no place for the water molecules to evaporate and get into air. Note similarly that when a hot milk is exposed to air, some milk molecules absorb the heat and become vapor and escape. Okay, this will make the milk cooler. Note, cotton clothes are good at absorbing sweat from our body and exposing it to atmosphere for evaporation, hence keeping us cool. Another interesting observation is when ice cold water is kept in a glass and is kept outside, the air around glass will become cool and get condensed on the glass to become water droplets. Note that the latent heat of vaporization is the heat energy required to change 1 kg of liquid into gas, and the latent heat of fusion is the heat energy required to change 1 kg of solid into liquid.
We have thoroughly studied, digested, thought about and simplified the concepts for you. So please like, share and subscribe.